Closely co-host, the host of Tony Katz Show, Tony Katz, he'll be along in a moment, the executive director of USA Strong, Erin Elmore, and former Trump campaign aide and author of the book Wicked Game is Rick Gates. So we're going to start with this. We'll get to the panel in just a moment, but Georgia is on all our minds today, the two Senate runoff races there, determining the balance of power on Capitol Hill. I'll start with you, Tony. This could have an actual effect on what happens in Washington. Not often do you see like one election, but on this particular day, these elections do matter, don't they?
It's like Passover. Why is this night different from all other nights? It's because this is the night that can decide whether or not we have a bulwark against a progressive machine. Or
that Joe Biden said yesterday when he was there at a rally is that if the Democratic senators, if they win the Senate seats, there will be $2,000 checks on their way out the door. And to me, I know there are people that need the help, but I'd like them to get it, not just send people to Washington that are going to send taxpayer money. By the way, we don't have the money. We're going to have to borrow it from somewhere. But that seems to be what they're selling. How does this affect you? You can get $2,000.
Well, they always have to give something free away, but truly the balance of power for the rest of our country, for the rest of the United States, for the history of our country is on the line today. This is about socialism and communism versus democracy and freedom. Let's face it, Jon Ossoff is a trust fund socialist who makes Beto O'Rourke look like a member of Mensa. Ossoff has accomplished absolutely nothing in his life, literally nothing. All he's done is fundraise, so you can slow clap for that. Reverend Raphael Warnock, if you want to call him a reverend, is an anti-Semite. So if anyone Jewish is watching or out there, make sure you go vote Republican because he is an anti-Semite who has backed Louis Farrakhan time and time and time again. He is accused of abuse by his estranged wife and young campers at one of his youth retreats. He is a bad guy. Both of these candidates are not just bad for Georgia. They are bad for America. They are bad for freedom. They are bad for democracy. They are great for socialism. They are great for communism. And that's not what our founders of our Constitution and our country wanted for us.
Okay. Rick Gates, you work to mask. That's the question, especially in a place like L.A. where COVID cases have been surging. Joining us now to weigh in, Newsmax contributor Dr. David Samadi. Dr. Samadi, I have a mask here. We wear it around, even in the office here. Wear it on the streets, wear it on the subway. Do masks work?
Well, to say don't wear a mask on a national TV. But you have to understand the research and the science behind this is not very strong.
Do you have a question for the doctor?
Yes, if we could pivot to the vaccine, doctor. I know that some states are controlling, actually all of the states kind of control how the vaccine is doled out to their citizens. Is it true that some states, maybe that lean a little more liberal or blue, are holding back the vaccine until after the inauguration? So it looks like Biden sort of has a win under his belt right out of the gate. Have you heard about that, or is that just a rumor?
Well, I don't have a real evidence of that happening. I know, for example, we have a lot of vaccines, certainly in New York, in California, as I mentioned to Bob, there's over 1 million doses available, but they only distributed about half. And
The news item that we start with, folks, and I'll start with you, Rick. We start with the fact that there will be no charges filed. Now, we know when this happened, there were protests. Some of them ended up pretty nasty. I mean, Kyle Rittenhouse was one of the people that ended up shooting 2 people. We don't know how that case turns out eventually. But this was all going up in Wisconsin. What is your thought? I think a lot of us remember the video of Jacob Blake ignoring the cops, going around the car, not listening to them, and then finally getting shot because he wasn't listening. Now, the first thing that I do to a police officer is listen to what they're saying and respond accordingly. And having said that, you hear the criticism, you didn't need to shoot him 7 times. I don't know if the argument is, oh, you shoot him twice and that's okay. But what's your response here?
I think it's so hard for a layperson to understand exactly what's going through these police officers' minds when they have to make these critical decisions. I know there have been trainings and things like that that people have gone through to simulate these experiences, and they are so terrifying. Your adrenaline is rushing. I was not there. I don't know the specifics of those moments. I do know that I'm a lawyer and I believe in our justice system. I truly do. I think that, there are grand juries and there are juries of our peers. And right now there are tensions that are very high between Caucasian police officers and victims who are African American. And those are very unfortunate circumstances, but I do not believe they should result in things like defunding the police or not supporting our law enforcement. In this situation, I think we just have to really let justice play out, make sure there is transparency from the district attorney and the governor and the state's various offices, and pray that people actually should realize that two wrongs do not make a right. If you go steal a pair of Nikes, it doesn't bring back a human life. It doesn't change the circumstances. So I think it's really important to take the high ground and let justice play out. And please do not riot, do not loot, do not make the situation worse, because those situations are bad for the business owners who are often minority owners as well.
Tony.
Here, and I think one of the questions is going to be, well, did he have the knife on him? Was the knife in the car?
See supporters there holding a rally on behalf of the president, trying to save or play a part in what they consider saving the president's position as president in the president's favor by objecting to the electoral college votes. Now, they're going to need a very solid strategy to pull that off. So at a certain point to electoral votes from a particular state, and then they can argue about it, debate it for up to 2 hours, and then vote on that objection. And then we don't know what exactly happens from there, do we? Happen tomorrow, what kind of strategy might work for the president. Let's bring back our panel. Erin, wanted to give you a chance on this one.
So here's the thing. I think a lot of people have short-term memory loss, not our panel and not the people watching Newsmax, of course, but some other people, because the Democrats have objected to the electoral vote for the last 3 times a Republican won the election. In 2016, Democrats objected to Trump's win in 10 states. And our friend from California, Maxine Waters, who chairs a House committee, objected several times. So this is really nothing new that we're just pulling out of thin air. And also, I'm going to read you a little passage. When you win a record low of 17% of counties, lose Black and Hispanic support, lose 18 of 19 bellwether counties, lose Ohio, Florida, and Iowa, lose 27 of 27 toss-up House seats, but you shatter the popular vote, doesn't pass the smell test. That's why people are in Washington, D.C. today. That's why people are standing there waiting to hear the president speak tomorrow. There is nothing free and fair about this election. And whether you're a Democrat, Republican, or an independent, everyone deserves this to be a fair and free election, because this is America and this is democracy.
Erin, the problem is that people say there are all these court cases that didn't go anywhere, and unless your contention is there hasn't been a chance to bring out all those issues.
Well, there were several issues with the court cases, but the legal system is just one way to accomplish this. We're on to our next phase.
Yeah.
And I'm not one of those tinfoil hat crazies at all. I think that everything I've just told you was completely factual, and that's why the American people still think that they have a voice. Even there was a poll that came out recently that said even 30% of Democrats don't think this election was fair and square. That just shows you that there is no faith in the process.
Yeah.
Why are people ever going to vote in an election again?
Okay.
This quickly will become a socialist country where elections are just for smoke and mirrors. So
Okay.
this is just as much about the people getting out there in Washington and showing their support for the president and showing that they don't think this is fair, and showing you that electoral colleges have been contested before.
Okay.
So I think the judicial system is one way, and here we are facing another.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. The last 3 times Republicans won, Democrats presented challenges to it. They were just in much smaller numbers of what we're likely to see tomorrow. Rick, here's what Tom.
Sorry.
Same question,
It's not
Erin.
what I want.
I'm just going to say, he kept saying there's a less than 1% chance. I'm going to go Dumb and Dumber. So you're saying there's a chance.
Okay, and Rick, the chance.
I'm going to say 50%.
All right. Well, that's a big difference. So he's going to be the genius when this all comes down. Thank you, Tony Katz, Erin Elmore, and Rick Gates. Thank you so much. And folks, wanted to tell you about tonight's special